We know Brent Brennan's going bowling, but is he going streaking?
Welcome on in to the AZ Wildcats pre-game show, getting you ready for Arizona v. Baylor. We are, in fact, presented by our friends over at Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com. Check out that campus collection for yourself and get 15% off with our promo code of BBPHNX. That is, again, at brandedbills.com. I'm Damon Fairall. He's Kevin Thomas, and we're getting you ready for Arizona versus Baylor. A big game here for the Wildcats, for the Bears as well. Arizona 7-3 going into this one. A chance to somehow make a double-digit win season happen, which would just be unbelievable, but starts with getting a W today. Baylor, on the other hand, needs a win to make a bowl game here so that they're not going into their final week of the season do or die mode, meaning they're going to bring everything today. Gonna be a good game. Can't wait for it, and excited to get prepped for it with all of you guys.
I'm excited to get prepped for this game with everybody here in this chat, and also everybody that's gonna pack the soul. As you might see that Damon is here at PHNX HQ3 right now, but you do know that he is packing the soul with all of you down
Damon
there
teleport?
in Tucson. Damon can teleport, and he will be in two places at once. But yeah, we're pre-recording this a day before because Damon is heading down to Tucson to get into some good times before this game, and I'm very excited for Damon, and I'm very excited for the crowning of the new Arizona Stadium that has been named Casino del Sol Stadium. So yeah, pack the soul. Let's get Baylor out of Tucson with an L, and let's prove to the whole nation that Noah Fifita is the Big 12's best quarterback, Damon. I guess that's as good of a place to segue into our shots fired as any, because if you know this peer podcast, you know we like to talk about shots fired with our friends over at Three Amigos Tequila.
And Kevin, do we have a special little treat for the people today? Three Amigos shot glasses will now be on every single podcast from here on forth. Beautiful
quality.
Stuff.
High quality stuff.
No more garbage, trash, red Solo Cup,
plastic waste.
Kevin and Damon looking like they're at a college party back in Tucson. No, we're getting professional. We're becoming adults here, live in front of everybody's eyes.
We're classing it up. We're classing this joint up just a little bit with some. Today it is an Ajo from our friends over at Three Amigos Tequila. Make sure to check that out. That is a beautiful bottle. Yeah, that's good quality.
This is the classiest podcast in America, so that does make sense that we're classing it up a little bit.
Dare I say, but I'll go ahead and take the wheel here for our shots fired to start off this pregame show for Arizona versus Baylor. And my shot, Dave Aranda.
Darn.
I mean, you can shoot at him again if you want. I don't know what to tell you, but the man with a job that should not have a job is Dave Aranda. And I feel like we talked about this with Justin Spears yesterday on our podcast, previewing this matchup for our pregame show, that Dave Aranda is in a fortunate situation that he is not being fired, mostly because there's lacks leadership above him to make those decisions. There's not really the people with authority in place, as Mac Rhodes has stepped down as the AD, to make those decisions. They currently have 2 interim ADs, I believe. So my shots fired is at Dave Aranda, who will be coaching in this game and in Baylor's next couple of games if they go bowling, but he should not be coaching. What a horrendous job he has done with this year's team. Sorry about it, Dave, but we're going head-to-head this week, and I know you look like our brother Ali Farhang, but I'm shooting fire. I'm taking fire at Dave Aranda. Shots fired. Pew, pew. Cheers. Salut.
You might look like Ollie Farhang, but you will never be Ollie Farhang.
Facts.
MFer.
That's good.
You better believe that. You like that Añejo? Went down smooth?
It did go down quite smooth. Not nearly as smooth as the Ramona's Reserve, but nothing can go down as smooth as that Ramona's Reserve.
We do need more of that Ramona's Reserve here in the building. But
that Añejo is good.
Absolutely. Añejo is always good, especially with our friends at Three Amigos Tequila. But yeah, I gotta say, was looking at Dave Aranda as well. For one particular reason, because I gotta put the focus on somebody. In reality, Kevin, my shots fired from my perspective is going to be at the entire Baylor Bears football team in this season for making me look like a big stupid idiot in preseason. I believed in y'all. I thought you guys were nice. I was telling people Baylor ASU was going to be the two most difficult games on Arizona's schedule this season. The back-to-back final 2 games of the year. That doesn't look like the case. Baylor is maybe the most beatable team in the conference. You know, outside of the joke squads, outside of Oklahoma State and Colorado. I mean, when you're talking about teams that could lose to literally anybody, is there a team that could lose to anybody more than the Baylor Bears?
No.
I picked y'all number 1. Number 1. I even said things like, I don't believe in Texas Tech because all Texas Tech ever does is choke.
Yeah.
I believe in Baylor, a team that, you know, seemingly gets a fluke 10-win season here and there and then just forgets how to play football for a couple years. Dave Aranda, joke. Baylor fans, I feel sorry for you guys. You deserve better. Baylor's a bigger program than that. It's become a bigger program than that. Feels like this is a lot of like, we're trying to save some money here. But Dave Aranda, you made a fool out of me. Shame on me for doing it once. Next time, shame on you. But shout out Three Amigos Tequila. Shots fired. Dave Aranda, you suck.
Dave Aranda does indeed suck. Ali Farhang is greater sign symbol Dave Aranda. He's better than Dave Aranda. There's levels to this, and in the Bald Brotherhood, Ali ranks higher than Dave Aranda. Thank you to our friends over at Three Amigos for sponsoring this segment of Shots Fired. That Añejo. It's tough to go up to bat against that Añejo if you're any other tequila company because, man, was that good. That was very good. But hopefully, Arizona's quarterback play is just as good as that Añejo tequila that we just had. No Fifita, Damon, this year has been a Conference Player of the Year quality player for Arizona. Not only with his stats, but with his leadership. And in relation to preseason expectations, he should certainly be in the conversation for Conference Player of the Year, if not the winner of Conference Player of the Year. I understand that the linebacker from Texas Tech, I believe his name is Jacob Rodriguez, is going to have a shout at this. They got running trick plays for him.
I believe there's an offensive and a defensive player of the year award, so that should not be an issue.
That is fair. My lack of ball knowledge is real there, but
well, to be fair, Kevin, if you are aware of the mentions of one Iron Mike Luke, Texas Tech fans are unaware of the fact that there is an offensive and defensive award because when Mike approached this topic and said Fifita should be the player of the year in conference, he was responded to nothing with other than Jacob Rodriguez literally exists. Yeah. To which they can both win, I promise.
Yeah. And since that is the case, I think that probably should be the case, right? Noah Fifita has played to that level of accomplishment, and I think he has led his team to success that pretty much no one thought that they could get to outside of maybe the diest of diehard Brent Brennan fans, the diest of diehard Arizona fans that said, and even those, like even people like Damon, me, Juan Serrano, for example, shout out. When we're talking at Media Day in Tucson, Dr. Stonks. When we're talking about Media Day or when we're at Media Day in Tucson, talking about the expectations for this team, what was our range? About 6-6. And
like
if they
5 to 7 wins, no? Like it was like this team is probably going to be a borderline bowl team this season.
Yeah, and with the potential to get to like 8 wins. No way did we see them with the potential to get to 10 when it's all said and done, Damon. I think that Noah Fifita is a massive part of that. Just how good do you expect him to be against Baylor in this matchup?
Insane. I mean, Baylor, it plays pathetic. A pathetic brand of defense, I should say. Dave Aranda, for being a defensive coach, like, what is you doing? Because I'm not exactly sure what you do here, my guy. Baylor's offense is unbelievable. I expect Baylor's offense, as much as I was, clowning on Baylor and saying that they could lose to anybody, they could also hypothetically kind of beat anybody, right? Because their offense is so good. They have the ability to, if you don't take them seriously, score on every possession.
Yeah.
And if you look at their wins versus their losses, and I probably should have had this more mapped out, but like all their wins are in the 40s, 40 points, 40 plus points, shootouts. All their losses, pretty much they score less than 30, high 20s, but less than 30. And that's how you have to beat Baylor, is you have to outscore them. I think Arizona's defense is good enough to, and the passing defense in particular is good enough to put a little bit of a pushback on this insanely elite Baylor offense, Baylor passing game. But I just don't see how they can stop Noah Fifita and this Arizona offense from getting whatever they want. You look at the rushing stats; they're second to last in rushing yards given up per game. Kevin, you look at the passing stats; they're also way towards the bottom here. They are just not a good football team when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. Okay, sorry, I apologize. Baylor is actually sixth in passing yards per game given up on defense, but they are second to last in rushing yards. And if you were to look at totals on defense, they are 13th out of 16 in the conference, only in front of total defense-wise West Virginia,
ew,
Colorado,
gross,
and Oklahoma State.
Nasty.
That's Baylor's company when it comes to level of defense that they play in this conference. I expect Noah Fifita to not only have a good game, but I think that this Arizona rushing offense really needs to have a good game in this one to keep things going. You just got to keep moving the ball, keep getting 5 yards per carry, 6 yards per carry, and I don't see how Baylor can win this game.
You mentioned the idea that Baylor can only win shootouts. To underscore that, all but one of Baylor's opponents have put up 27 or more points on them this year. Right? If you're going to beat Baylor, if you're going to lose to Baylor, it probably looks like Baylor outshooting you, outscoring you in this game, right? But if we're talking about ways in which Noah Fifita can get that done for Arizona, become that gunslinger, and really kind of win this shootout, you underlined it perfectly. The running game has to get established, and that is a good segue for our keys to the game in this matchup, Damon, because number one on the board is establishing the run game, because Baylor has not had a good rush defense this year. They've been porous against the rush. Teams have been able to take advantage of that. Not only did the overall scoring defense of Baylor is poor, but their actual play-in, play-out defense is not very strong. And I think when Arizona has three physical, versatile, healthy running backs in that stable, it feels like they should be able to make Baylor pay on the ground. And if you're going to make Noah Fifita look good, you got to get his guys open. And how are you going to do that? Make Baylor think about the run. Key number 2, stop Baylor's wide receiver room. We're talking about passing the ball. Sawyer Robertson's one of the best passers in the conference, and he has some of the best weapons in the conference. Whether it be Cameron or Trig or any of the other receivers that have over 500 yards for Baylor this year, they have playmakers in that wide receiver room. And as we were talking to with Justin Spears yesterday, it's good on good. Arizona's DBs with Baylor's wide receivers, and that's going to be a marquee, must-see TV type of matchup between guys like Dalton Johnson, Traden Stukes, Michael Dansby as well on that back end for Arizona. I know Javion Cole, I believe, is questionable for this one as of time of recording yesterday at Friday, right? Friday at whatever, mid-afternoon. Javion Cole questionable, I believe. So that matchup between Arizona's DBs and Baylor's wide receivers are going to be pivotal, is going to be pivotal for Arizona in this one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. These DBs are the calling card for Arizona's entire team. On the Baylor side of things, they have 4 receivers with over 500 yards on the season. Unbelievable statistics going on over there on the Baylor offense, especially in the passing game. I expect this matchup is the good versus good version of things for both squads. It makes it for an interesting game, right? Like, you're playing strength on strength, and we get to look at what that looks like. That being said, Baylor's weakness is not necessarily an Arizona weakness. It's just more of an Arizona average, decent, pretty good. Like, it's the Arizona offense is not bad by any stretch. It's just not the Arizona defense this season. So we'll find out here what that looks like. I do think, though, that Arizona has a big advantage here in terms of that. And I love that our passing defense is this team's calling card, because there's no better passing defense in this conference to stop the Baylor passing attack than Arizona's. You have literally the number one passing offense in the entire conference here from Baylor. They average 324 passing yards per game, which is more than 25 yards more per game than the next closest team. Arizona's fourth on that list, but as I said, more than 60 yards lower than Baylor. It's not really particularly close. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball. Arizona is by far the best passing defense in this conference. 159.5 passing yards per game given up this year. Next closest, 180.8, and that's UCF's defense. And part of the reason UCF's defense is like that is because they're so damn bad at rushing defense that teams just continue to run the ball on them every single play. So Arizona's passing defense is legitimately elite. They are second in the conference behind only BYU in interceptions. It's been all season long. It took until Iowa State for a team to finally throw for a passing touchdown on this team. Like, this passing defense is the most elite passing defense I've ever seen as an Arizona football fan. And, we've had some pretty damn good defensive backs in my time as a fan here in essentially 2.5 decades. Man, I can't wait to see this matchup from a pure football sicko standpoint. There's nothing like Baylor offense, Baylor passing game versus this Arizona passing defense.
What a job Danny Gonzalez has done with that side of the ball. I think that
what? What are you how did he even manage that?
It's unbelievable, right? With all the new faces, all the turnover, all the lack of expectations. I think keeping that morale high on that side of the ball after the year you had last year, it was pivotal, and he was able to do that.
How do you think Jacob Manu feels about leaving this defense?
Oof. Well, considering he might be going to a third state in 3 years if Jed Fish goes to UCLA or something like that. I don't know.
Homecoming. Hashtag I'm coming home.
Probably not good, but Danny Gonzalez.
Here's the thing. He does have 11 tackles on the season, so.
Wow.
Maybe I need to slow my roll a little bit.
But Danny Gonzalez, I think, what a job he has done, because even those that I think were most in on Danny Gonzalez preseason and his acumen as a defensive play caller, what he was able to do at Arizona State as well, having them highly ranked on the defensive side of things year over year. It felt like Danny Gonzalez had the tools to have a defense like this, the tools to have a defense that can perform at this type of a level, but it didn't necessarily, it was unclear whether he had the personnel to do that. It was unclear whether some of these transfer guys could step up, whether some of these returning guys could continue to grow and develop, and just what the overall look of this defense was going to be. So for them to be legitimately one of the nation's best defenses is incredibly impressive no matter which way you cut it.
I think we thought that this passing defense in particular was going to be good, right?
Yeah.
Because we knew Genesis Smith was an NFL player. We knew Dalton Johnson was, one of the best players on this team. Same with Traden Stukes once he got back. Same with, Gavin Hunter when he got playing time. He was immense. Michael Dansby was great last game. Javion Cole has a bunch of interceptions this season, has been good all year. We knew these DBs were the strength of the team. That being said, we didn't know that they were top 10 in the country type of good.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what they are right now. If you were to look at our friends over at Game on Paper, Kevin, I believe they are 5th in EPA per play passing defense this season, which is just special. I mean, it's hard for me to even wrap my head around, because at U of A, I think, especially during the Rich Rod years, we got so accustomed to having insanely good offenses that were so elite, but the defense was just so bad in comparison, it's the same thing Baylor does right now.
Yeah.
You could score with anybody, but you knew you were going to give it right back up. And to have a defense that legitimately is this good, I mean, it's kind of unbelievable to even think about, man. You look at EPA per play passing wise, number 5 in the entire country on the defensive side of the football. Man, is that insane. And then conversely, you look at Baylor and what they struggle with on defense. Their EPA per play on rush attempts is 111th in the country, which is quite bad. So I think that's definitely what you're going to have to take advantage of Baylor's defense.
It is, and as we wrap up my keys before we get to our matchup battles, my third key is an offensive explosion. As we already talked about, Baylor is susceptible defensively, but they are very willing to get into a shootout. If Arizona is going to get this one done, I would expect them to score 30-plus points in this game against Baylor's defense. I think Arizona has a chance with the quarterback that they have, with the running backs that they have, with the way the receivers have been playing so far these last couple of weeks. It feels like an offensive explosion is due for Seth Doege in this Arizona offense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Against a defense like this, I expect nothing less, right? Like going into the ASU game, I want to see it. I want to see this offense get tuned up and get a ton of momentum going into what is easily the most pivotal game of the season, all things considered. So
Totally.
For in this one, like I expect good offense. I expect borderline elite offense. Because I think Arizona is good enough to do that, and Baylor is bad enough to allow that to happen. So, yeah, offensive explosion is right. I'm thinking 35-plus points. Genuinely. Like, I know that's a big expectation level, but, like, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
It's valid. I think that's a valid expectation level when you lay out the talent that Arizona has, the signal caller that they have, the coordinator that they have, and the defense that they're playing against. 30-plus, 35-plus. I'm not going to say it should be easy because it's never easy at the Big 12 level to score 35 points off of showing up to the game. But it's something very doable, and Arizona should not look like it's a slog to get to 35 points in this one against Baylor.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's go ahead and look at the matchup battle here between Arizona and Baylor and kind of take a peek into where each team might have the advantage. Going from a quarterback perspective, I know we were talking about Noah Fifita probably being the rightful Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in this conference, all things considered, especially if he's able to end out the year with 2 W's to break things off. But Sawyer Robertson has been borderline the best quarterback in the entire damn country this season, especially with such a putrid defense that he plays with, right next to. So I think you got to go even in this one, in the spirit of how we've done this all season long. Like, even if we think one guy is maybe slightly above another guy on these like quarterback things in particular, when it's pretty close, we say it's an even matchup and we move on towards the other things. And that's what we're doing here. Moving forward, Baylor was supposed to have a pretty damn good running offense this year with Washington, coming back from last year and looking so good in the 2024 season. It just hasn't really come to be. Their rushing offense hasn't been that great. You look at their offensive grades on PFF, it's not all that encouraging. You look at their statistics, it's not all that encouraging. I am not all that impressed by this Baylor rushing attack in particular. I think Arizona just has a better stable of running backs with Quincy Craig, with Kedrick Reesano, who has been really coming on as of late, and with Ishmael Mahdi, who we haven't really heard from that loudly in a very long time. I think we could be seeing like a breakout Ish Mahdi game for a guy that, has been maybe a little bit on the quieter end in the last handful of games. Arizona's winning, so let's not act like it's, he's hurting the team necessarily, but I think we could see one of the best rushing performances of the season this game.
Yeah, and I think, it only underlines our quarterback point, having them even, and Sawyer Robertson being the talent that he is, but having the defense that he has, the head coach that he has, and the running game that is not really making it any easier on him, not really taking any load off of his shoulders.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of underlines our first point even more, that Arizona wins the running back battle here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. We're going into the offensive line. This one was a little bit tough. I think this might be the closest one, maybe the one that we most were considering doing a same or an equal on. But I'm going to give the edge here to Baylor because Arizona's given up the second most sacks in the Big 12 this season. I mean, there were some times where you could probably point the finger at Noah Fifita and say he's trying to do a little bit too much or he needs to get rid of the football there. I think the Kansas game in particular probably was that game for Noah Fifita where it's like, man, he's just really not sensing the pressure like he usually does. But this is a cumulative thing over the course of the season. And 10 games in, Arizona has given up the second most sacks in the entire conference here. So I'm going with Baylor to have the advantage in this one. I just think that you got to give it to them when you consider that statistic in particular. Arizona's rushing offense has been pretty damn good this year. I will give them that. They average good yards per carry. That's been better than Baylor. So if you were probably being the breaking it down to an even more minute level, I would say that Arizona has the better run blocking offensive line and Baylor has the better pass blocking offensive line. But yeah, all things considered, I think that we got to give a slight edge to Baylor in this one. Only Colorado has given up more sacks this season than Arizona, 27-31.
When you bring up that sack number, it kind of surprises me, not because Arizona, struggled with that, but mostly because I feel like the offensive line's been improving week over week. And I think that, like you said, it's a cumulative number. And I think that kind of surprises me because I think that Arizona's offensive line has been so much better, and they've reached a point to where I'm not really like ever pointing the finger at them at really doing too much wrong.
They don't feel like the second worst pass blocking offensive line in this conference. That's a fact.
They do not feel that way, Damon. But as we continue on this matchup battles graphic, we did skip over pass catchers, I believe.
I did.
But I think it's mostly because this one's no disrespect to Arizona's pass catchers, but this one feels obvious, right? It's
fairly lopsided.
Trig on the other end. You have Cameron on the other end. You have multiple 500-yard receivers on the other side of things as well. And while Arizona does have depth in their receiving core, depth at pass catchers, it just doesn't feel like they have the same depth or skill level that Baylor does. That one feels pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, Josh Cameron's the best player of any pass catcher in this game. Michael Trigg's probably number 2. He's their tight end. We all know that Arizona's tight ends. And while Cameron Barmore has really gotten better and trended up as we moved on this season, he is, a supplementary piece, not the game plan of the offense like Michael Trigg is.
Yeah.
And as Justin Spears noted on our Friday pregame show, Michael Trigg was compared to Kellen Winslow by Brent Brennan, which is certainly a pretty big comparison to make there. But we got Ashton Hawkins with 578 yards on 49 catches, Cole Wilson with 520 yards on 36 catches. This passing offense is just so good. These pass catchers are really good in their own right. I think that you got to give the edge there to Baylor. And like we've seen a lot of this season, Arizona is not really winning the pass catcher battle ever, Kevin. Like sometimes they tie it because we think they have decent depth, but they haven't had the upper echelon guys all season long. Chris Hudson just beat out Nunu Watley for the lead in team receiving yards this year. And Nunu Watley is like the gadget guy. And no offense, but you can't really trust him on crucial downs. We've been over this season. It's hurt you in big games that have cost you to lose, right? And so Chris Hudson finally seems to be coming into his own right. Trace Bivey is him. We all know that. Get him the ball more. Chris Hunter's a great deep threat. Luke Wysong continues to show out whenever his name is called upon. Gio Richardson has been playing really well as well. I like all of our receivers. I just think Baylor, we're talking about potentially the best receivers in the conference. Is what it is.
Yeah, 100%, Damon.
Moving into defense, this is just so damn easy. Let's just roll it out real quick. Run defense. Baylor has the worst in the conference. They are giving up. As I look here, second worst in the conference after Colorado. They are giving up 5 yards per carry, 23 touchdowns, 197.8 yards per game rushing defense. And then you look at passing defense, they're 6th. They only give up 195 yards per game, but I think in large part it's similar to UCF, what I just said about UCF. Like, why stop running the football on Baylor when they actually can't stop it?
Yeah.
They cannot stop it. So why stop running the football on them? Just continue to do so. And also, a lot of times, teams have leads on Baylor, so they're trying to run the clock out. I expect Arizona's rushing offense to be, running away with this one, potentially the reason Arizona wins this game. You look at the pass rush side of things, Kevin. Baylor has the least amount of sacks in the conference, just kind of further displaying how bad their defense is. They have the least sacks. They give up the most rushing yards after Colorado. Like, they're just not good. And then on the pass coverage side of things, they're a little bit better in pass coverage, but Arizona's pass coverage is the best in the conference. They're going to beat every single team in pass coverage. So the defensive side is pretty cut and dry, all Arizona. As with it usually is, Baylor has a better special teams unit over the course of this season. Although Arizona's special teams unit has been, getting a little bit better. Michael Salgado Medina did not have a good game last week, but he ended the game well. He made his final 2 kicks of the game, including a big-time 50-yarder. So we'll give him props for that. Baylor does have a better special teams unit, though. And then as we took our shots fired at Mr. Dave Aranda, who has done an absolutely pathetic job this season, how could you not give the coaching advantage to Arizona, who has a coach that potentially could win Coach of the Year in this conference, which is absolutely insane that we're saying that in Week 10.
Yeah, I'm kind of speechless about that.
Imagine if I told you in February last year, Kevin, Brent Brennan is going to be on the short list of Coach of the Year candidates in the Big 12 next year.
I would have asked politely for you to share whatever you're smoking.
Correct.
Because I would love to be a part of that high.
Correct.
But here we are in reality, and that is the case. That is exactly the case. And credit to Brent Brennan, credit to Daggy, credit to Gonzalez, credit to everyone on that staff.
No doubt.
That has helped, what's the saying? Rising tides raise all ships.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of is how it is with this Arizona staff, right? Last year, Brent Brennan was trying to keep his head above water. He brings a couple floaties in, Daggy and Gonzalez, and they're keeping his head above water and then some. He might be walking on water this year. He's so far above the water. But yeah, I'm all about that, Damon. These are our matchup battles. Brent Brennan gets a W. Arizona's defense dominates. And offensively, it's a bit of a
back and
closer
forth.
competition than the matchup battles there. But
no doubt about it.
We got a game coming up like now.
Yeah, we got a game here in just a few short moments. Appreciate everybody for tuning into this show. Of course, obviously, me and Kevin are not doing this live. So if you guys left a super chat, we will try to hit it on the post-game show. Just remind us, but cannot wait for this one. Hopefully, the Arizona Wildcats get their 8th win of the season with another game yet to play. Unreal stuff going on in Tucson. Hashtag Pack the Soul. First game in Casino del Sol Stadium. I will be there. Kevin will be holding down the fort here in the Valley. And we appreciate all of you guys for, being along for the ride the entire time. It means the world to me and Kevin. Follow Kevin at KevoPost. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. And follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all socials except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. The more likes we get, the more likely we are to get an Arizona Wildcats dub today. It really is it's a
direct correlation.
It's a direct effect there when it comes to Arizona Wildcats success and likes on this video. Let's run it up. Let's get 50 likes, Kevin. I want 50 likes on this video. Thank y'all for being here, and let's get this W. Until then, peace out, bear down, and we'll see you on the postgame show.
Beat Baylor. And like he said, see you on the postgame show.
We all silly like the mayor.